We now invite Dr. Raina Ma'am, Deputy Director Placements, to give the welcome address, please.
Thank you. On behalf of IBS Gurgaon, I welcome Mr. Vikas Sahni here. It's a pride and privilege moment for us that he's here and he's taken time out from his busy schedule and he's come here to specially address all of you. IHS Markit, you all would be aware that IHS Markit is a regular recruiter for us, and they've taken 3 students last year from the batch of 2019, and they've given the profile of analyst with a package of 6.31. And they've been coming to us from last several years. I think, if I remember it correctly, their presence in the campus has been more than 5 to 6 years. We are very thankful to this company that this year I got a call from them, and they wanted to brief students about this company. They wanted to brief students about the banking industry and other related topics, so that the gap between the academia and industry is reduced.
May we now invite Mr. Vikas Sahni, sir, Vice President Product Management, to address the audience, please. Please welcome sir with a huge round of applause.
There's a place where my son and I go every other week, sometime every week. He's fond of eating food at that place. So what I do is every time I go there, he orders the same stuff, and to make the payment, I take my phone out and scan the QR code to make the payment. So one day, like 4 weeks ago, he said, "Why do you need to take your phone out? Why can't you just look at the QR code and it should scan your iris and the payment should be done?" So he's 13 years old. So first thing I told him, he's so lazy. He cannot even take the phone out to make the payment. But on second thought, he's right. The phone is not my identity, right? I'm not phone. So my identity is my biometrics, my facial recognition, my iris. Right? All these things are my identity. But what I like was the way this generation is thinking. And we'll talk about some of those aspects today, because that's all about fintech, where we are going, what are the trends in the industry. So before that, another question, any of you guys have heard of a firm called McVie? Or before that, do you study fintech here, Dr. Anpa? Do we have a fintech course?
That is registered 4 now.
Okay, so I think you'll get to know about fintech and how the companies are operating and how they're thinking. There's a firm called McVie. It's a Chinese company, and they have a product, Face++. So this firm has the facial recognition records for 1.3 billion people, or I think most of them would be Chinese. So that's a good amount of data, right? So imagine what you could do if you have the identity stored, facial recognition identity stored for that many people. So I'm going to talk about another firm because I think you should know about Alibaba and what China is doing overall. So Alibaba worked with them. Alibaba has a financial arm that has the financial product, Alipay. They work with this McVie firm, and what they're trying to do is they've come up with a product called Smile to Pay. So once you're done with whatever you were supposed to buy, just smile at the scanner and you're done. And you must have heard of Amazon Go as well, I'm sure, if you're following, right? Similar concept. It has cameras all over the place. It automatically detects what you have bought, and it checks everything out, right? So this is where sort of the industry is going. And well, talk about how does it impact you, right? Because it's not, the traditional banking is not going to be here for maybe 10 years from now. So these things are quite relevant. So I'll take a step back. I'll start with the evolution of banking, because I was watching a TED video, and I liked there was one person talking about, if you want to understand the future, you have to first understand the past, right? What has happened in the past, then you can visualize what's going to happen further in the future. So can okay. So look at, this is the evolution of banking, and I'm not going to bore you with all of these aspects, but banking is not a new concept. I'm not sure you know, banking has been out there, the traditional banking has been out there for like 3,000, 4,000 years, right? When I say traditional banking, it's depositing your money, taking out money and getting loans, etc. Even the modern banking dates back to around 15th, 16th century. not sure, how many of you know how old is SBI? When was it founded? It was founded as Bank of Calcutta. When was it founded? Any guesses? 1806. 1848 maybe changed to SBI. It was started as, so that is also more than 200 years old. So the concept till recently in 1950 was around branch banking. So you would go to a branch, you would open a bank account at the branch, your details would stay at the branch. They would not go anywhere because everything was on the paper at that time. Right? There was no technology usage in early 1900s. And then things kept on evolving. Around 1950, the first credit card came in. First credit card was Diners Club, then Amex came in around 1960 or so. But then when these cards were out there, there was no technology behind the cards. Do you guys know carbon paper, what a carbon paper is? Okay, I'm glad you know that at least. So at that time, credit card was nothing. They used to take imprints. They used to write and take imprints on the carbon paper. These are the records, just on the paper. But then all of you know the technology evolved from manual recording to magnetic strip to EVM chips, which is chip and card, and now you have like contactless cards, right? So a lot of evolution. But still the same plastic, which has been out there for 50 years, is in use. It's in use like in US, it's 80% of the transactions are done using that plastic rather than digital wallets also. And ATMs came along, I guess around 1960s, 1970s. To start with, Barclays Bank started the ATM in the UK. Telebanking, which is more like, what is my account balance? Can you transfer from my checking account to my savings account? All these things, right? Now, no evolution, right? Or I would say, sorry, evolution, no revolution. It was just an iteration of what the banking services they had to offer. Net banking came in. Again, net banking, you could say, was a major change, right? Now you don't need to go to the bank for most of the services. You can do it online. PayPal, anyone knows about PayPal? It's quite exciting. How old is PayPal? So 1998, PayPal was founded, and it was founded primarily to do transactions online, because online transactions, people did not trust each other with storing card details. So they thought that if you can preload money into a card, which is sort of a digital wallet. PayPal is nothing but a digital wallet. Then you can use it. Merchants can use it. And consumer can use it. It came along in 1998, and mobile banking. Same time. Mobile banking is quite old. When you hear mobile banking, you feel like the mobile apps, but mobile banking started with more like SMS services. You could send SMS to the provider and get your balance and do basic stuff, right? So quite exciting. But if you look at the first half, I don't see any revolution there. It's just what changed. Yes, you didn't need to go to the branch for basic activities, but account opening wasn't simple, right? It's still not simple for some of the accounts, for some of the banks, etc. But then what you had a passbook that changed into a debit card. Checkbook no longer required because then you can do online transfers, etc. Right? The credit card bit, which is the plastic we call it, was there, it's still out there. So there's no revolution here at all, right? So you don't see any changes. So this is in 2008, but something changed in 2008. Tell me what happened in 2008. The three things happened in 2008, I expect you to tell me two. The third is tricky. Global recession, very important. What is the second one? Recession is, right? That's what you said, recession is first. What's the second one? That changed everything. iPhone. I'll come to that, how it did it. iPhone was revolutionary. What's the third thing that happened? I said you would not know it, most of you. Bitcoin. Have you heard of that name, Satoshi? What's his name? No, Satoshi, whatever that name is. Yeah. Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't know if that exists or not. Bitcoin. More than Bitcoin, the blockchain, that technology, right? This is what happened in 2008. So 2008 was sort of really revolutionary. When I said I'll come to iPhone, the reason is when Steve Jobs, I think he did in 2007, in 2007, 2008. So when Steve Jobs worked on iPhone, he did not do what we did with banking, which is just an iteration of what we had. Right? So he said, he could have used Nokia's phone. Have you guys seen Nokia's phone? I think they relaunched. We call it the banana phone. And you've seen Motorola flip phone, right? He did not use, and the BlackBerry RIM was so common that day. BlackBerry was #1 company, sort of on the technology front in the mobile side that time. He said, I'm not going to use it. I'll come up with some other principles, right? Which is the keypad embedded within the concept of apps. So he had like everything on one device. It wasn't there. It wasn't the case. So that was actually quite revolutionary and changed everything. Why? Because that's the reason you're able to do everything on your phones these days, right? Everything followed, like all other companies followed them, but that's the reason. So that's how generally when you think about changes, I think you should make a distinction about whether it's an evolution or iteration of technology, or it's actually someone has come up with a creative design thinking to build something up, right? So in 2008, we did not have that case, but starting 2008, things changed. I go back to recession. What happened due to recession? All the large banks, what they did, they were busy working on adhering to the regulations and compliance. That's a business I had, so that's great for us. But banks were more into looking into their operating models, redefining their model on how they should be working. So they were busy doing that. They fired a whole lot of people from the industry, right? The financial industry. After Lehman Brothers, I'm talking about. And then others saw the opportunity. Some of the people who were fired by the banks, as well as the evolution of technology, there were players who saw opportunity in the space. And those players, we call them the recent fintech players. Fintech is not a new word, right? Financial technology. We are a financial technology firm. We are like 18 years old, or IHS is like 50 years old. But then the new wave of fintech came up starting 2008. And that I feel changed a lot.
If the banking sector will adopt blockchain, the third-party involvement would be eliminated. So don't you think the business of banking, the people who are working there, will be negatively affected if the blockchain is adopted?
That's a great question. So what's happening? If you look into so in order to avoid that thing happening in the future, look into the blockchain initiatives being run by banks themselves. So no one wants cryptocurrency to succeed. Anyway, we don't know why cryptocurrencies would go because of the volatility. Look into JP Morgan, Citibank, and any bank in the world. What kind of initiatives they're running on blockchain? UBS recently, along with 12, 13 other banks, they invested in a firm called Finality. And what it does is it's a blockchain-based remittance, as an example. Because now UBS is saying, although it's a large revenue number they have, UBS is themselves saying, because if they don't do it, some other company would come and eat all the revenue, right? At least be part of that wave. So banks have realized that this could happen to them. So they want to be part of the wave. They are partnering, collaborating more with fintech firms. That's another fact you can actually easily figure out. They were not, because 6-7 years ago they thought, oh, we are giant, right? They cannot provide that kind of infrastructure. What would Alibaba do with mobile phones? That's what they thought. Right? They cannot disrupt us. But now I think they are feeling the pressure. So in one of the slides, I actually, to look into it, this is how they are thinking. They are actually working along with fintechs in some of those areas so as to stay afloat.
Sir, in a country like India, where majority of population is still not tech-free, I mean, we recently had a revolution about the opening number of bank accounts. How this automation in the banking industry can be sustainable?
I'll go back to the point I said, right? We have, till this point, fintech has been successful primarily for middle class people. People earning more than maybe 40,000-50,000 sort of a month, right? If you look into 5,000 to 20,000-25,000 bracket, we haven't solved that problem. Having said that, there are some of the fintechs who are actually now venturing into that space, some of them. I was reading about Kaleidofin is one of it, which is the financial management for that bracket. This is what they are specifically targeting, right? Because in India, 70% probably falls into that bracket. And they're thinking, again, creatively on how to do that. Because if you look into that bracket again, those guys, they are not, they're more like require that human touch, personal touch with everything. They would not trust technology, like I would press a button and it's done. Although they would have smartphones, right? Most of these guys would have smartphones, but they would not trust the technology. So again, you have to use something like local agents, microfinance people to work with them. So there would still be an app, there's a fintech company, there's an app, there's an underlying infrastructure, but there'll be human touch which will be brought. And this is how they are thinking. I think there's a long way to go. In India, it's not easy to solve any of the problem. And then cash, what will you do? Because demonetization did not solve that problem. So cash is still back in the economy, that would never become digital. So that's going to be the hardest one, but at least in certain areas, some progress can be made.